is Wadi Crab. Oh lordy, look at this. This Patala Palace, one of the holiest buildings in Tibet, the Dalai Lama's residence. Tip for you, never ever tell Russians you drink. As usual, I'm standing at the wrong side of the station. It's a lovely thing about travelling on your own. People aren't threatened by you. Ciao. Helps that everybody's small in this country. They go fast, smooth and air conditioned. That's our stop, that's our city. You fairly feel the heat whenever you get out of the train. It's about 35 degrees here all year round and very, very humid. For that trip you just pay about 5p. You travel for about 4 kilometres, so it makes quite a difference from the prices of public transport at home. This is Merdeka Square, right in the middle of Kuala Lumpur, nice big lump of green. The British had Malaysia until 1957, they called it Malaya. And then they pulled out, and this is where they did the pulling out ceremony. They lowered the Union Jack for the last time from the flagstaff here, and the Malaysian flag was raised. And in their time here, they would come to this place, Merdeka Square in the middle, and play cricket on this big pitch. It's a fairly uneven wicket now, it's fairly lumpy ground, so I'd say it would have made for very interesting cricket. And the other benefits from the British being here are, well, they left the 3-pin plug, which is nice for me because you don't need so many adapters trailing around your backpack. And they also left a very good plumbing system with 5-inch sewer pipes, which means you can put your used toilet paper in the toilet, which you can't do anywhere else in Asia, or indeed most places in the southern hemisphere, because they just have wee 3-inch sewer pipes. So Malaysia, all in all, is a very civilised place to travel in, very clean, and benefited from the British being here. But since they've had their own country, that's when they've really taken off. These people are really impressive. The industrialisation of this nation, given where it is, right stuck out in the end of Southeast Asia, is really, really impressive. The money that's gone into developing this country is impressive as well. People are genuinely well off. I mean, I've seen a lot of wealthy people around here driving big smart German cars, and these guys really, really know how to work. I just thought I'd put the camera below me because walking around Kuala Lumpur, you get a crick in your neck. Spend all your time looking up at the top of really, really tall buildings. They have a shopping centre here that's 10 stories high, and it's absolutely huge. Like a huge big gallery inside, and they even have a roller coaster full size inside it. If you ever needed proof of the industrialisation of this nation, you just walk around this city. The whole place is in really, really good nick. Behind me you can see the twin Petronas towers. Petronas is a petrochemical company here in Malaysia. And when the planes flew into the towers in New York in 2001, these became the tallest towers in the world. Really impressive. So this place, this is a small mall. There's 5 floors. There's some kind of dance ritual going on at the bottom to try and flog bridal stuff, with Shania Twain blaring away. It's just consumer heaven, I suppose. I'm not much of a shopper. I only came in here to see if I could find some new camping stuff, and they don't have anything I need. Still, the Malaysians seem to enjoy it. Most of the foreigners seem to as well. It's hard to think of this place as a settlement for tin mines and rubber plantations, but that's how Kuala Lumpur made its name. These days it's a truly multicultural capital city. Isn't this cracking? You just get a Hindu temple in the middle of a busy street. On the edge of Chinatown. Now there's a multicultural experience for you. Indian and Chinese mix. I'm going to go and have a look. You can leave your shoes off at the door. Kuala Lumpur is a nice city, but it's noisy and big and hot. You come into a wee temple like this in the middle of all the frenzy that goes on here. It's lovely just to chill out and take your ease. And the way they've designed this is to let the wind come through, so it's cool as well. The city fathers have taken a leaf out of the original town plan and created oases of calm all over Kuala Lumpur. That's one up for the town planners in this part of the world. Kuala Lumpur is known as the city of lights and gardens. It's not hard to see why when you come to a place like this. It's just in the middle of all the big buildings and shopping malls, and they've put a lovely big lake in. Nice bits of grass around just to relieve the eye from all of the concrete and glass that's around. And you would wonder that the people who first came here to mine tin and start the rubber plantations 150 years ago, what they would have thought of this place now. It's absolutely heaving with life, and fantastic to see the results of industry. The government's still on this mad development plan for this whole country, and you can just see it all taking shape here in Kuala Lumpur. There's buildings being built all around me. Fantastic place, really, really nice. And I'm not normally a big fan of big cities. This is Pasar Seni Light Rapid Transport Station in Kuala Lumpur. It's about a couple of blocks walk from my hotel, and it's the start of one of the most luxurious parts of travelling in this journey, I would imagine, because one stop down the way is Kuala Lumpur Central, and then I'm on a 10-hour night train to Singapore. It's first class, I'm paying for first class, and I'm paying for sleeper bunk. Cheapest chips for us at 19 quid, but that's quite dear for Asia. That's a day and a half spending or more for me. But it's well worth it. I love trains, and I just love the idea of sleeping on trains. Not that I normally need a bed for that sort of lark. Come in and take a swizz of this. This is very nice. I'm on the bottom bunk, so we'll just lock out the grate unwashed. I don't know if I have to share this with anybody or not. What? You get your own bathroom? Good Jove. Normally when you're recording in Asian cities, it's really hard to get your voice up over the noise of the traffic, but here in Singapore, there's hardly any traffic. Roads are all half empty. You can actually hear birdsong. It's nice, but I just kind of miss the traffic noise. You miss any signs of life, really. Singapore feels like a party happened here 100 years ago and everybody left 99 years and 11 months ago. Singapore's stuck right at the bottom of the Malaysian peninsula. It's a bit of an oddity really, an island state with the best standard of living in Asia. It's run by what's effectively a benign dictatorship. The People's Democracy Party has won every election since independence. The place is driven by a mixture of socialist and capitalist policies, and it seems to work. The government stayed in power by controlling the legal system, censoring the opposition, and by a clever use of gerrymandering. For most people here, the People's Democracy Party's dragged the country out of the dark ages into the 21st century. If a one-party state's the price you pay, then, for now at least, it's a price worth paying. This is the top of Mount Faber in Singapore. It's about 350 feet high. And you get a nice view of the city through rainforest here, oddly enough. Odd to see all this greenery in the middle of a land-scarce island. And just typical of Singapore, there's an absolute din going on in the background. They're renovating the place. These people are just workaholics, they don't know when to stop. Wherever you go, they're digging up or doing something, or they're all running to the office. It's mad. I wonder what Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the founding father of modern-day Singapore, would make of this place today. Unlike most of the British colonial barons of his time, he was against slavery and forced labour. He respected the religious values of the local people, and he's still remembered here with some affection. When Sir Thomas died in England in 1826, his local vicar refused to bury him inside his church because the vicar's family had made its money out of the slave trade. Changed times. This is Raffles Hotel in Singapore, famous the world over. The thing to do when you come to Singapore is sit here and drink your Singapore sling in the long bar and crack a few peanuts. The hotel itself is full of stories. They actually shot a tiger under the billiard table once. And it's named after Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, who put Singapore on the map in 1819 by making it a bastion of the British Empire. This place has really thrived since then. And nowadays, you've got statistics like 1 ship every 3 minutes enters the harbour. It's got the highest gross domestic product of any nation in Southeast Asia. And wherever you look, you see a lot of wealthy people, but happy people as well. Let's have a wee try of this $1 million cocktail. Sorry, $1 billion cocktail. Oh, lovely. Very nice. And this is why people come to Singapore. Shopping. The place is full of big malls like this. Multi-storey shopping complexes full of Western designer goods that can be afforded by people from Singapore as well as tourists, most unlike the rest of Asia. So in this consumerist society, I'm really surprised that the place in the world that this reminds me most of is Cuba, a completely non-consumerist society. And it's because of the government control. In 1954, Lee Kuan Yew and his People's Action Party got control here. And they started a 30-year series of reforms, which has built Singapore into what it is today. The government controls car ownership. It controls a lot of aspects of people's lives. They even have a social development unit here for people that can't get dates. The local Singaporeans say that SDU stands for Single, Desperate and Ugly, and the government will arrange blind dates for you if you're finding it difficult finding a partner. Incredible. So with that amount of state control, it's surprising to find people this worldly, this well educated, and this happy in their lives. And it seems to work for them. And the shopping just continues. Consumerism seems to be a national sport in this place. There you go, $9 for a 4-hour bus ride. That's £3. The people here are uniformly polite, intelligent, good fun to be with as well, and very worldly. If I had to live anywhere in Southeast Asia, I think I would pick here. I was coming home from a night out the other night. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was walking along the street. And there was a young girl, very pretty girl, God, they all are here, walking along the street, completely alright with walking on her own at 2 o'clock in the morning through fairly dimly lit streets. Kids go to school on the bus and on the train by themselves. They're only about 5 or 6. In any society that still allows that these days, it has to be a good place to live. You know, if I get married, I could be a lot worse than a Singapore girl. They're all smart, kind, polite, and razor-sharp intelligence. I can't think of a better place really to bring up kids. Now, it's a nanny state, and you'd have to do a lot yourself as a parent to make sure that the kids didn't turn out like robots. Yeah, Singapore would be the place for me, I think, to settle down if I ever was lucky enough to meet a girl and have a family. Malacca Town, a place fought over by the Portuguese, then the Dutch and finally the British. This place has seen the rise and fall of empires. Nice try, Sean. Why do you decorate them? Why do you decorate them?
Tourists. Yeah, right on our try show.
Yeah. So is this your full-time job?
It's my part-time job.
Part-time? So what do you do for the rest of the time?
I'm still studying.
Really? What do you study?
I'm studying diploma.
Diploma in what?
Multimedia.
Oh, right. Do you own the trishaw?
Yes, my father trishaw.
Your father's trishaw?
My father have 2 trishaw.
Beautiful. Are these all fresh flowers?
Not
No.
fresh flower. Buy from flower shop.
It's a lovely thing about travelling on your own. People aren't threatened by you. Oh Lord, would you listen to this? You know those guys that you see with the big fancy flash cars with the fancy wheels on them? That's like these guys. They always have big loud music systems, and these lads have huge music systems on some of these things. Weird to have music on your bicycle or your tricycle. That looks like a big housing complex. In actual fact, it's one huge shopping mall. It's enormous. The old town square in Malacca pulls in tourists from all over Southeast Asia. Its church was built by Dutch Protestants and taken over by the British. Today, trade in the square is run by a very different kind of multinational.
My grandfather is from India.
Uh-huh.
So my grandmother is from Sri Lanka.
Uh-huh.
So my mother was born in Malacca. So my father get married with my father. My father is Indian and my mother is Portuguese. My mother's name is Mary Lazarou.
Right. How many languages do you speak?
I speak 8 languages.
8 languages.
Chinese 4 and Malay, English and Portuguese. Una, dos, tres, cuatro, unita, pai.
Wow, it's amazing. So you're an example of all the cultures that come from around this neck of the woods then, yeah?
That's right.
Yeah, excellent. I was talking to him for about 15 minutes before you guys, before I thought to turn on the camera and let you guys in on the act. Cracking. Really, really like this place. You just can't go wrong.
This is our assistant.
Ah, you giving me your card now. So this is you,
Yeah, you keep it.
Mando. Thanks very much. Thank
Okay.
you. Good meeting you, Sebastian. All the
hope
best.
you come again.
Thank you. I probably will. This is Chinatown Market, the weekend night market in Malacca. And just found a few chums from home. This is Nathan.
Hiya.
And Tara from Meath.
Hi.
Odd to see Irish people around. So I'm just going to go and try and get myself something to eat here. It's brilliant. Sometimes it's quite tough in Southeast Asia to show people the actual nuts and bolts of what goes on because you're too busy minding your camera. But here it's quite safe. I was out last night. I'm sure it'll be safe enough now. So you just go along and you get yourself some hawker food off the stalls and feed your face, and you can get nice fresh fruit and fresh juices and everything, and you can buy to your heart's content at these wee cheap stalls. Hate eating on my own. And you can get this for £2.50, and I think in terms of English money that's probably about 40p. And you just get a wee feed of radish cake, and then you go up the road and I'll probably have a wee vegetable roll later. And I even managed to get myself some dessert, mango ice cream or something like that. So you can eat really well, and the nice thing about it is you're in amongst all the locals. Usually if you're on your own, a couple of them will come up and sit beside you because you look like a big strange white man, and they'll pass the time of day with you. It's a great way to meet people. I'm just really looking forward now to heading up north into Thailand. It's where it's a wee bit cheaper. But the one good thing about Malaysia, it's expensive to drink here. So you go off the beer and you go off all the sort of other stuff, and your body thanks you for it. As I approached the border between Malaysia and Thailand, it dawned on me that I was approaching the end of my second year on the road. There won't be any special celebrations because I'm now in a rush to get to all the places I want to see before I return overland to Belfast. Just 350 days to go. This is Hat Yai in southern Thailand. On another time zone. Your watch goes back here an hour from Malaysia. I'm 2 years on the road as of yesterday. Another 349 days left to go. And it's been an interesting 2 years. The 2 years have been different to each other. The first year I found out a few things about myself, but this year has definitely been more a journey within. Because of the long car journeys in New Zealand and Australia, you get to examine yourself a bit more, and I'm a lot more comfortable being with myself, which is probably good training for this third year because I'm less inclined to hang around with other backpackers and more inclined to try and go out and find the locals. And language difficulties will mean that loneliness might be a big problem in this year to come. So, I'm looking forward to it. Let's hope I don't get any more sickness like I did in Indonesia. But sure, if it happens, it happens. What's the worst that can happen? You spend a few days in the hospital. That happened in the first year. Didn't kill me. I'm on the way to Phuket Island. On Boxing Day 2004, the ocean pulled back from around Phuket, forming a mega wave that claimed lives and destroyed a fragile economy. Thankfully, the survivors are rebuilding their livelihoods and things are returning to normal. This is Wadi Krap. That means hello in Thai, and that is a Y. Thais don't shake hands much, but they do Y you. It's a lovely way to greet or thank somebody. Very gentle and mannerly. And that's the Thais for you. This place is the land of smiles. They changed the name from Siam to Thailand in 1939. Thailand actually means land of the free, and they've never been colonised except for a brief Japanese invasion during World War II. The Thais are no pushover, let me tell you. Since I've been here, I've seen them pushing their way on the buses and shoving into queues. They do it all with a smile though, and everybody seems to keep their cool. This is Phuket town. It's a far nicer place to stay than the seedy beach resorts. In 2004, the tsunami hit the west coast of Phuket Island a few kilometres away and wreaked havoc. I'm going to take a look beneath the surface, literally, and see what the effects were. Just before 8 AM on Boxing Day 2004, the second largest earthquake ever recorded shook the Sumatran coast in Indonesia. The tsunami swamped coastlines right across the Indian Ocean. This is Patong Beach on the west coast of Phuket Island. A giant wave struck here an hour and a half after the Sumatran quake. Mark Spears heard a commotion outside his office. When he walked outside, he was confronted by two of his staff running towards him, and behind them a wall of water. That morning, over 800 people lost their lives on Phuket Island.
There was two girls in the shop on the day, but they managed to, they actually saw it coming and ran out. So we were very fortunate that nobody was killed or injured here.
So how far up did the water come here then?
To here, well, we ended up, the whole of the shop was wiped out basically. We just ended up with the frame of the building. We had a pickup truck, which actually put a new sign up for us on the day. A pickup truck in the pool and halfway through the window here, what was left of the window. And the water itself, I mean, in our bar around the corner, it probably came up to about this kind of height, you know. So it was deep enough.
Was there any warning?
No, I mean, nobody really knew much about it. I had actually had a phone call in the morning about 8 o'clock, which is from one of our Thai dive masters, asking me if I'd felt the earthquake, which I hadn't. And then he, so I'd actually got to work earlier than normal, and then the tsunami started. So.
Well, how'd you feel then?
It's kind of strange, really, because I don't think you have time to be scared, because you're too busy just trying to take it all in. But afterwards, when we actually got to higher ground, because they said they was expecting this big fourth wave, we got to higher ground, and then when you actually stopped and you know you're safe, that's the time when I think the fear sort of kicks in, you know.
I'm off with Mark's company on my first dive in Thailand, off the Similan Islands. This boat was at sea in deep waters the day the tsunami hit, but felt absolutely nothing. My mission today is to find out what effects the tsunami had on the area's underwater ecology. I'm expecting to see a measure of destruction, but down here, surprisingly, life goes on as normal. Fantastic. This is an idyllic morning. We're on Richelieu Rock. Richelieu Rock's one of the most famous dive sites in the whole world. And this morning we went down and we saw some scorpion fish and a wee stripy-tailed sea dragon, right down at 29 metres, almost 100 feet. And the second dive's going to be a wee bit shallower. Conditions absolutely perfect. The rock itself is just poking about 30 centimetres out of the water now because we're at full tide. And there's about 4 other dive boats here. So it's a bit like diver's soup down there sometimes, but it's nice when you get the place to just yourself and your buddy, or 3 or 4 of you. In the calmness off Richelieu Rock, it's easy to forget that the 2004 tsunami claimed the lives of over 200,000 people in coastal towns from India to Indonesia. As the wave travelled between the Similan and Surin Islands, 2 of this company's divers were in water 4 metres deep. As the tsunami passed, it forced them down to 27 metres, back up to 4 and down to 27 metres again, in a matter of seconds. Seconds later, they found themselves stranded high and dry on a nearby beach, not knowing what hit them. They survived. On Boxing Day morning 2004, Mood Prasid's boat set off from PP Island, south of Patong, where members of his extended family lived. His wife and son survived the big wave that hit Phuket Island, but his family on PP weren't so lucky.
The first boat in Rajaya is south of Phuket start to shout that big wave, big wave. Everybody else laughing at him through the radio. And a couple of minutes later, the boat in Chalong, which is we can communicate very easily, where the place where we left, where we moored our boat. And a few minutes later at the Koh Dok Mai, they said no wave there, but very strange current. And a few minutes later in PP, yeah, and Captain came up to the deck, said everything is gone. Said no, this is not right. No wave, nothing, no wind, nothing. What happened? We felt nothing. The seas felt like exactly this, like this. Yeah. And we rang our boss, and he said, yeah, it's true. And we had to stay out in deep water. 3 days after that, you know, we searching for our family, aunts and uncle, all these, lots of friends, you know, which is even right, it's something like 27, 28 people, my close family.
Has it all been forgotten about, or?
Looks like everybody, everything back to normal, even more business tourists than last year.
The tsunami hit fairly hard on the islands, but actually underwater there's little evidence of any damage from the big waves that came in, which was quite surprising for me. I thought the whole place would be wrecked, but it was basically just a fairly momentary event where a lot of water was churned around and most of the effects were felt on land. It was interesting talking to Mood, the dive guide, as he's typically Thai. They'll give you all the bad news and still be smiling through it. It's a sort of Thai custom. They don't seem to want to bother you with their bad news. And I think he was hit a lot harder than he actually admitted. So this is it. Glorious afternoon. Sailing back down for about 4 hours down to Patong Beach. And then off to Bangkok and to explore the rest of Southeast Asia.